It's the 22nd century. Humankind has become infertile. Surrounded by hostile wastelands, we struggle, on the verge of extinction. But there is still hope. Last child from a natural pregnancy.
I used to appreciate being left alone with my thoughts at night. Now it just feels haunting. I keep worrying about the future. Turning my back on everything I've believed in, leaving my entire world behind. I have to remind myself that this is bigger than any single one of us. The child must be set free, so that she can save us all. New message on my Bracecom.
What's up, guys? So I thought I'd do a little review of this game I purchased here recently from this indie developer. It's called Reign of Reflections, and this is chapter 1 of the game. Apparently they're going to do a total of 3 chapters. Like I said, this is the first one, and it's sort of a stealth slash sort of puzzle game with some there's some combat to it, like strategy combat elements, but again, it's mostly kind of like stealth, trying to avoid confrontations as opposed to actually fighting anything. And it's kind of like going around and trying to be observant of an area to figure out what you're supposed to do next, sort of thing here.
Will, I just received confirmation. Operation Defuse is moving ahead. I'll be on location at 1 a.m. tonight. This is it. I hope you're still in, that you haven't changed your mind.
Alright, so I'll try to be as spoiler-free as possible, but basically, like, your character's this lead female character, as you've seen a minute ago, her name is Willona, and then you have Luca here, which is kind of her cohort. I won't tell you too much about what their plans are, but ostensibly they
Luke
have...
will be waiting for me in the trench.
Alright,
We
sorry.
need to get there now.
Dialogue. But yeah, like, basically the object is to wander around here and examine different things, pick up items that might be useful to you, that you might need for whatever purpose later on, but mostly it's just, like I said, kind of traversing through the storyline of the game. I would consider this game to be almost more like a playable movie than really anything else. There are some combat scenarios, but I didn't find them to be particularly challenging. And then there's, like, a lot of the game is like this hacking mini game where you try, again, like your character is this engineer type person, so she's good with electronics, and so thus it's like you sometimes will encounter scenarios where to distract an enemy or to get through a certain portion of an area, if you attempt to hack a local computer or something along those lines, or like you can hack a taxi cab at one point, for example, so you can take it and use it, that kind of thing. But the game is sort of choose your own adventure. You can kind of choose to, different dialogue options, so things will play out a little bit differently. But from what I understand, the ending is ostensibly the same. I could be wrong about that. I only played through it one time. My beef with the game is it's way too short. It's like 3 hours. And in fact, you probably can beat it faster than that if you've been through it at least once and know how to do it. I played it for 3 hours and beat it in that time frame, and it's only because some of the hacking games are a little bit more difficult. Like they might take you a few attempts, but you get unlimited tries on most of it, and so it's like whatever, it's not that difficult. But I'll kind of give you a little walkthrough here, and then I'll maybe jump ahead to a portion of the game where there's like a combat encounter, so you can kind of see how that plays out.
Oh, Mother. Where did we go wrong? Best day of my life. Ignorance is bliss.
So it's talking about the cloak here. That's one of the elements of the game that lends itself to both the combat and as well as like just general getting through certain areas to avoid combat. Is she has developed this cloaking technology. There's a jacket that you acquire before you leave the apartment where I'm in now, and it allows you to hide yourself, but you have a limited number of battery charges for it, and so you have to find ways to recharge it periodically, whether that means sabotaging like robotic. This is in the future, of course, so there's technology. As they mentioned, this is like the 22nd century, so there's technology that doesn't exist in present day 2019. But she can, there's like little robots, like you can see this little picture down here. There's these bots that go around like there's some kind of service droid sort of thing, but you can steal energy from them for your cloak, that sort of thing.
We're getting you out tonight, sweetie. The tactile feeling of paper always felt more true.
Some of the dialogue in this game is, frankly, in my opinion, kind of stupid. I don't know. It's just a personal opinion. You may enjoy it, but like their choice of writing, I don't know, whatever. Like I say, it's subjective. I just didn't think it was that good. It's kind of corny.
The cluster always intrigued me. With my leaving the stem, maybe I'll finally get to go there.
I will give them credit for the visuals in this game. The game is called Rain of Reflections, so it's always raining. But just the way that they've handled the water effects is really quite good. There's certain areas in the game where like you're out in the city a little bit, that kind of stuff, or again like you're looking down on an area and it happens to be raining like this is, and you can kind of get the idea, but it looks pretty good.
My compositions are never really finished, just abandoned.
Oops.
My art has always been therapeutic work.
Another thing and this is just subjective, but I don't care for the click to move, which is how this game functions, so you click and walk around. I don't really like that so much. I wish you could just WASD or use like arrow keys or something. But I'm pretty sure that's the only way you can move in this game. Alright, so this is her cloaking technology that she's been working on. So you get some pictures here. She's doodling.
Certainly didn't make me feel smarter.
Invisibility for beginners. It's like she's trying to work on, like camouflage, and so you got the chameleon here.
Working title: Animals I Wish I'd Seen.
Delivery in progress.
Hope this battery pack is enough to power the cloak. I wish I had more time to work on my cloak. It hasn't even been field tested. Well, no time for that now.
It's funny this game
Mother.
talks about cloaking technology. 'Cause
Can't be a coincidence.
I've actually wanted to figure out a way to cloak my desktop PC.
I should figure out what she knows.
Oh, there you are. What a relief. I was afraid I wouldn't get a hold of you.
This part kind of will probably have some spoilers, so I'm just going to skip past this in the video. I don't want you guys to have this, like I say, the whole story spoiled for you. I'll pick it up here when I find like an encounter or something. Give me a minute. Alright, this gives me an opportunity to show you guys the hacking system real quick in the game, so 1 second I'll do that.
This shouldn't be too difficult.
Alright, so there's different kinds of hacking scenarios, but they're all pretty straightforward. So you've got, this lets me access the door security. You've got, like firewalls you can end up having to deal with sometimes, but whatever, like you go through these different little scenarios. Some of them will give you unlimited number of chances, like in this one it says, I have an unlimited number of tries. Later on you'll encounter some situations where you only get like 1 or 2 attempts, and if you fail, then that option is no longer available to you and the story will take a different direction, but ultimately you'll still be able to get to your goal. But sometimes it might lead to you getting having like an encounter with some enemy guards or something, whereas otherwise you could avoid them if you were able to successfully hack.
Just need to get the core into the dock. Go. That did the trick.
Alright, so that looks really straightforward, and it is on that one, but later on you end up, like, you have to do something like where the map is like this huge freaking thing, and you have to navigate that ball to the hole, and the whole time you have like this security, which is represented by these red squares moving in closer and closer and closer until if they capture the ball, or there's like places where the ball can fall off the map, and if it falls off you also fail. The ball has momentum, so the more spaces you choose to move it in a turn, the more momentum it acquires, which in turn lets you roll it further the next time, but it like makes it difficult to change direction quickly, so you might end up having it roll off the edge because you picked too many turns, you had it rolling too fast. You can also bounce it off walls later. Maybe they'll have that here in a minute. Alright, here, so you see like here's some red squares. They'll probably already start coming my direction, but you can move across the pits if you have enough momentum. And see here, I can make like a rebound off that and knock it into the hole.
Wall bounce. There we go.
I don't know how this is supposed to represent hacking in real life, as I am not a hacker, but I don't feel like this is probably an accurate representation, but it's fun. It makes little mini games.
Just need to rotate the shapes to fit the outlines. Snapped right into place. Satisfying.
So that's pretty straightforward. You just have to line up the three-dimensional object with the space in the background. So later on it gets a lot more complicated. Sometimes they're very weird or huge, and it's like you can't, it makes it difficult to figure out how they're supposed to fit in, but usually they're not that difficult.
There. Got it.
Alright, and as such I was able to unlock my apartment. I'm going to take my coat, which allows me to cloak. And like I say, now I'm going to exit here, and like I say, now I'll bring it back up here in a minute when I encounter some guards, or can show you kind of how the encounter system works with the cloaking and whatnot. Alright, so we have our first encounter here with an
Need to
quote-unquote
think
enemy guard,
strategically
or
about
they call
this.
bolts. Who thought these names up, I don't quite know. But yeah, the idea here is you get, you know, a certain movement range, and you can attempt to do different things that, you know, you're trying to avoid being noticed, of course. And ultimately, after you've acquired something from the map or done a certain set of things, or basically a lot of maps in the game are just trying to get to the exit point without being noticed, or even if you do get noticed necessarily, it's not always that big of a deal as long as you're able to get to the exit before they can capture you or catch you. I've not had a problem with it, but it's not that difficult, so I'll kind of just go through this one. Alright, it appears that I guess they're forcing me to go a certain way. And as you can see, there's a point here where it's yellow. If it's yellow, that means you're going to get noticed when you do it. So like there's water coming out, it's going to make noise when I walk across the water, and he's going to hear that. But they're not giving me really an alternative to go a different route, so I guess I kind of have to do what I have to do. Let me just see. Yeah, I think they just kind of force you this time around to do what they want you to do. So you saw there, like, it slowed down briefly. That means they noticed me.
The bolt heard that. I've raised suspicion.
So hit points are quote-unquote motivation in this game.
Thank you.
There.
Alright, so doing positive things like finding ammunition, or in this case, finding more cloak batteries, which as you can see now I have 4, that improves her motivation and gets your health, basically it's a healing option. Now later on you get other people, like that guy Luca that I was looking at the text message from at the beginning. He will join your party, and you can talk to him during the fight, and it kind of acts like as a buff system in the game. So you can, you know, give him like a cheering up, like, oh, you know, good job, or oh, we got to get that target, whatever. It's like you can motivate him through talking to him, and vice versa. When you use one of his turns, you can do the same thing for Walona and have him say something motivational. Or conversely, you can like yell at the enemies once they've noticed you. It's kind of like whatever at that point anyway, and you can say things to like denigrate them and bring their motivation down, which is, it has the effect of basically hurting them. Or you can actually just shoot them later on when you get a gun. Right now she doesn't have one, but later on Luca will give you a firearm. So it looks like taking the batteries has used my turn, so I pretty much have to end it, and then next time I can continue.
Leader, I think somebody's sneaking around here. Get a visual confirmation. Don't waste my time. Copy that, sir.
Can't forget my cloak. Here
Alright.
goes.
As the game kindly mentioned earlier, cloaking your character doesn't actually doesn't use a turn. Once again, it's forcing me to choose a specific path.
Area cleared. Nothing to report.
The enemy AI is pretty bad. Like they're pretty dumb.
I really need to get out of here. I'm making a run for it.
Area cleared. Return to squad.
That was all too close.
What in the name of...
Young lady, you better have a very good reason for sneaking around here, all invisible.
Maybe she's the one who's been stirring up this whole 1-4 swarm.
Alright, so you get the general idea. That's, like I say, a very basic encounter later on. You'll deal with multiple guards. They'll have drones flying overhead with, like, spotlights trying to find you, as well as your again, like when Luca joined your quote-unquote party, the both of you have to go unseen as much as possible, or again, like once they get noticed, they'll try to capture you. I've not been captured, so I don't know how that pans out. Another part of the encounter mechanic is that actually you can leave party members behind and, like, just say screw them. Luca's the only one that I've ever had join me. I don't know if it's possible to talk anybody else in the game into doing it. You have a lot of conversations with people that have a bunch of different options. So again, it's sort of a choose your own adventure, and you can give some people some things. You can offer them different items or different ways to convince them one thing or another. Like, there's one guy I met later on in the game who thinks he's one of the bolts. He's not. He's just a guy wearing a helmet that he's found. But you can convince him to give you some stuff if you use the right dialogue options and help him with something. It's like you just kind of work your way through the game, choosing your own adventure to some degree, but ultimately ending up in the same ending result as far as I know. But that said, I don't want to spoil the story for you guys, so this is kind of where I'm going to leave it. I don't think the game is worth their asking price, which is like $17 US. It's way too much money for like a 3-hour game. If the game was like 10, 15 hours, I would say yes. And I mean, I guess the best possible way to look at it, if you want to try to say that the game is worth what they're asking, is to say that it's more like a movie that you figure if you bought, a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever it is that you watch, those discs are usually, let's say, $20, and it's like 2 hours of time. This is like an interactive 3-hour movie that's $17. From that perspective, it's not so bad, but it's not a great movie. So it's kind of like maybe worth renting as opposed to, if you want to continue with that analogy. So I would say that I would wait till the game's price comes down, or see if they actually release the next 2 upcoming chapters, which supposedly will take a couple years apiece. So it's going to be like a year or two before the next chapter comes out. And if they're only 2 or 3 hours apiece, you might want to wait to the end and see if they do like a bundle deal where you can get all 3 games. Also, to my understanding, like the next game, you will be playing as a different character than this character, and then in the 3rd game, it'll be somebody else again. It's like experiencing this total story from the perspective of multiple different characters, and so she is just one part of the puzzle. But that said, I appreciate you guys watching the channel. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment below, or maybe subscribe to the channel. I'll try to do some more gaming related videos here soon, and maybe some more hardware stuff in the near future. But thanks for watching. See you guys later. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.